the media outlets came. We were very appreciative of y'all allowing us to take time to serve our students and our families so that we could reunify those kids that were evacuated with their parents. I do have a brief statement, but most of our time today will be used for questions that we know that you have and questions that we want to answer. We are committed to understanding what happened and reviewing every aspect of our safety procedures. In addition to the police investigation, KISD has also launched an independent administrative investigation. We already know that the Evolve Weapons Detection System at Roy J. Smith Middle School was not functioning that day, and we too have questions as to why. We know our community has many questions. We have shared the latest information on our website and will continue to update that as we learn. Safety is a top priority for KISD. We're taking steps to strengthen our protocols, including stricter discipline measures and an unflinching and critical look at our own safety procedures and how they were carried out on that day. We appreciate your patience for allowing us the last 4 days to try to come up with some of the answers that we need and some of the answers that we feel our community needs, and to some of the questions that we have already been asked. At this time, I will take questions.
You worked middle detection at the Smith Middle School. I was at Live Oak Ridge Middle on Wednesday. They went through middle detectors as well. Could you give me information on whether the school has purchased metal detectors in reaction to this event or before, and if every school in the district does have access to metal detectors?
So we have two different systems. We have the Evolve Detection Weapon System. We also have metal detectors. I cannot confirm what is at Live Oak Ridge Middle School on that day, but I can confirm that at Live Oak Middle School on that day, they were searching backpacks and they were sending kids through one or the other. I can also confirm that not all campuses have an Evolve detection system. Yes, I'm sorry.
So she was fatally stabbed. Do you guys know what the object was yet, or is it still being under investigation?
Nope, we do. It was a tactical folding 3.5-inch knife.
And would that knife would have been detected if the detectors were working that day?
We are not confident that it would have shared that information with us. And it has to do with the type of system that the Evolve detection system is. It's not there to detect metal. It's there to detect weapons, which are different.
Can I put this on the body of the presentation?
Can we take a different question right now? Yes, sir.
Do all schools, will the metal detectors at all schools be operational in the wake of this event? And can we get some additional information about the additional security measures you have said the district will take that you plan to enact or have already been enacted?
Can you repeat that question? I'm sorry, there was some interference.
Can you repeat it after he says it?
Okay, yes, sorry.
I'll say a couple things. I appreciate it.
Can you one at a time?
Yes, ma'am. Can you address the additional security measures that you spoke about in some of your previous press conferences? What specifically those measures are, if they have been enacted, or how you plan to enact those?
What I can share is that we have we have 3 different detection systems. One is the Evolve Weapons Detection System. We do have a metal detection system, and we also have wands, which are used at some of our campuses. I'm sorry, can you repeat the next question? Because I'm not.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Are the enacting of these additional security measures directly related to Monday? And if not, when do you plan to enact some of these additional security measures?
So those are not in response to what happened on Monday. Those are the things that have been in place at KISD for a number of years. We have added systems every year to the system, and we are currently researching best practice across Texas to ensure that we have the absolute very best systems at KISD to prevent further incidents like this to ever happen again. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was just going to ask, what is your response to parents who are concerned about the district's lack of control over fights that happen across?
We too have the same concern. As a parent, I would have the same concern. And so we are looking at a couple things: response times, how we communicate with families. And as we navigate the days ahead and the weeks ahead, we hope to shore up those practices so that we can ensure that we have monitoring happening in our buildings and we have direct communication with parents of those students who are causing these instances in our campuses. And I'm sorry, we have a question over here.
My question was, are you all able to say the relationship between the two students involved, or if it was, like, what led to the status?
I believe that would be information that is protected at this point, depending on the investigation. And so I'm not prepared to answer that question. Hold on. Yes, sir.
I was just curious, was there like an armed guard nearby at the time of the incident?
We did have police on scene. Our own KISD police were on scene. Yes.
Is the accused staffer still in the Bell County Juvenile Detention Center?
I do believe the appropriate person to answer that question would be our Chief of Police, Chief Hydorn. Can we wait until the end to answer that question? Okay, we will not forget and we'll be reminded.
Where exactly did the stabbing happen inside of that middle school?
I don't think I can answer that question. It is part of an ongoing, an open criminal investigation at this point and an administrative at this point.
Can I ask another question? The cell phone policy, that day on Monday, I spoke to a number of parents. Some were able to get in contact with their kids, some weren't. Does the cell phone policy apply to all students or some students at the middle school?
So it should apply to all students. And we are putting in measures to ensure that our campus administration are following protocols. We have yet to confirm if students did not have their devices locked on that day or not, or if they were unlocked as they were en route to the reunification site, and we wanted them to be unlocked so they could get in contact with their parents immediately. I'm sorry, I missed who's the next one. Go ahead, sorry.
Is there a specific list available of increased additional security measures at each school?
Unfortunately, I feel very strongly that if we release that information, it would compromise the safety and security of our campuses.
My question was, many parents are wondering, will there be any staff or KIUD officers put in the hallways to monitor students? You can't see my hand now.
So we are certainly looking at campus level monitoring, both inside, outside of our buildings, and including our hallways during passing periods. I'm trying to scope the room a little bit here. I think she is actually next. Thank you.
There's just been some talk that a suspect had just gotten back on Monday from being suspended for a week for having a knife at school. Is that true?
That is inaccurate information. The student was not on suspension during this time.
Was this incident caught on surveillance cameras at all?
The incident is part of the investigation at this point, and we do have surveillance systems in the building.
Does that provide a clear picture of how things unfolded and what staff response was that day?
I have not been able to review that incident. It is part of a criminal investigation at this time, so I'm not in a position to answer that question.
Do you want to tell her about the staff response?
Yes, what we do have is very immediate staff response to the situation. It was less than a minute before the student that suffered the loss was being rendered aid. Very proud of the staff for that.
Are you satisfied with KISD's messaging to parents and how you guys responded on the day of the incident?
I am. I think within 15 minutes, there was a message sent to Roy J. Smith Middle School community, the families of our students, We are understanding that not all parents receive those notifications. Part of that is because of how parents interface with our student information system and how they want to receive communication. So in one of the letters that we have sent, we have encouraged them to make sure that their communication lines are open so that they receive all communication from KISD. In the event that we have situations like this, we want them to receive the information. Let me go back over here, sorry.
So my question was, as far as the students who witnessed it and just students all at Roy J. Smith Middle School, will there be more counseling services put in place to help those students get through this?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we were in a position to make a big decision about not bringing kids back to that situation for the remainder of the week. We also made a recent decision to go ahead and keep them out one additional day because we feel very strongly that our staff deserves the opportunity to go over the new protocols that will be put into place. And as we're trying to map those out with the staff, we want to make sure that we give them time to do so that kids, parents feel comfortable with our kids coming back into our buildings. Yes.
A lot of parents, even before this situation, expressed concerns with the phone pouch policy, inability to get, contact with their children, during the school day, emergency situations, things like that. Will this situation cause a reevaluation of that phone pouch policy?
As mentioned earlier, we are reevaluating all safety and security procedures at our campuses.
I'm sorry, you mentioned at the top of the press conference that there was going to be like an independent investigation. Did you say who was going to be conducting that investigation?
It is an outside, it's an outside investigator that is connected to an attorney so that it removes KISD administration and the potential for mistrust to exist in our community. So we have brought someone from the outside to uncover anything that we need to uncover so that we can ensure that this never happens again in our system.
I want to ask specifically about the reunification at Manor Church. Is it true that parents' cars were towed as they were trying to pick up their kids from that location?
I do not have that information. That has not been shared with me. So I'm sorry, but I do not believe that is true, but I cannot confirm that. Yes, sorry.
The bullying allegations, was that confirmed or is that still being investigated?
What we do know about this particular incident is that there was no bullying report submitted to our bully reporter. However, what we don't know to be true at this time was if the students or parents actually made an actual report, whether verbally or in paper, to campus admin, staff. We do not know that at this time. But what we do know is there was nothing submitted on our bully reporter website. Yes.
How do you all plan to try to rebuild that trust between KISD and the parents?
So I believe first and foremost, being transparent with communication is critical. Part of the reason why we're here today is the beginning of that transparency to ensure that what we are saying is being not only heard, but is going to be seen on our website with our FAQs. And I think that it takes, when you suffer such a tragedy, it takes time and it takes us taking swift action that is visible, that is seen, and that is felt. It is during those times that trust is rebuilt with the campus and with the district. Yes, sorry.
Did anyone perform life-saving measures during the incident?
What we know to be true is we had staff members that were in position to try and stop the bleeding. We also know that there was CPR being rendered from our staff while she was still in our building. And beyond that, I cannot answer that question. Yes.
Speaking with the victim's family, they're under the impression that the victim was unattended for up to 8 to 10 minutes, and there's supposed to be fully a video circulating of the incident. Can you just explain the discrepancy between what they believe happened and what you just said with the response time being less than a minute?
What I know to be true is that from time of impact to time of our staff rendering aid was seconds.
There's a lot. Our station received the communication at 11:58 that the school was on lockdown. Can you confirm the time that the incident actually took place?
I do not have that off the top of my head, but we could definitely include that in our FAQs.
At the time of the stabbing, was Serenity suspended for prior violent behavior?
The answer to that is no. She was on campus as she should have been, regardless of what the miscommunication is out in the public.
And was Serenity and the suspect, did they have any prior fights prior to Monday?
I cannot confirm that at this point. I cannot confirm that at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Just sort of a piggyback off her question. Do you all know if both of the students' history academically, whether it's in the classroom or interacting with students, just how they were?
I can't share that information at this time. We want to protect the privacy and the sanctity of that right for our families and for those students. Yeah.
I don't want to go after younger cultures, it may have been touched on, but just to ask, because some students weren't able to access their phones, is there something going forward that it's been an emergent situation? I just know parents were talking about how concerned they were that they couldn't reach their kids. That's another change.
Definitely, as mentioned earlier, we are evaluating every bit of the safety protocols that were in place for that campus and for all of our campuses. Hold on. Sorry. Go ahead.
Was there any charges officially, or are you guys still investigating the situation before you charge anyone with anything?
I would allow Chief Hydorn to answer that question at the very end if we can, so make sure we're tracking the questions that y'all need him to answer.
Dr. Fey, what's your response to parents' feelings of unsatisfaction in terms of the district's response, day of, also with some of the follow-up like town hall meetings that happened that Monday?
Yeah, my response is we're working in uncharted territory. It is not an everyday occurrence that something like this happens at KISD or at any other campus or district across the country. And so my response would be, we appreciate the grace that we have been given. We certainly appreciate the families in giving us time to appropriately reunify our students with their families. And certainly we appreciate the media and the opportunity that y'all gave us to do that while we were there without interfering.
What steps is the district taking specifically to review this specific situation internally and ensure that no other student falls through the cracks due to administrative inaction or oversight?
So as mentioned, we have hired an external independent reviewer, investigator, if you will, because they are going to be able to uncover things that maybe we would not have asked, that could be potential blind spots in us actually moving forward.
We have a couple of viewers asking if backpacks are banned now, or if there's any measures regarding backpacks or things students can bring to the school.
What we do know is that the district has not made a determination on that. What I also know is that some campus leaders are taking it upon themselves to ensure campus safety at their own campuses, and they have made some decisions about backpacks, about entry, and I applaud them for doing that.
So will there be a unifying KISD security measure that will take place in all schools, or will it be a school-by-school basis in terms of how they feel additional security needs to be doled out?
We are reviewing every aspect of our safety and security system at this point. As mentioned earlier, we want the absolute best gold standard for safety and security of our buildings and for our kids. So we are not only looking at what we currently have, what are the gaps, but we're also exploring options outside of what we have.
Just to clarify again, you guys do not know where the stabbing took place in the school, or was that a question for the officer?
That is a question for the officer.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to ask, when the outside investigation is complete, is that going to be released to the public in like the interest of transparency and all that?
Absolutely. We will release what we can based on FERPA policies. Employees do have some privacy rights, but we do plan on releasing what we can, including if there was a gap, we want to make sure that we share that as we have shared the gap with our Evolve system today. It was not working on that day. We do not know why. We are investigating why, and that too can be found on the FAQ section.
I'm not sure if you answered this question already, but after that situation on Monday, are all of the metal detectors through KISD working as of right now?
what we know to be true is yes, but like any device, there's always potential for a breakdown, right? What we can confirm today is that all 100% of our evolved detection systems are in full function. Are we wrapping up? Go ahead, take one more.
Okay, thank you. Can you explain the different takes between the metal detectors evolved and when, or if there's a difference between when the different security measures will be deployed?
I am certainly not the resident expert on defining the difference there. I will defer that question, and if it's something that we want to and can include in our FAQs, we will certainly put it there.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and let Chief Hydorn come to the podium and answer the questions that I could not answer related to the criminal investigation.
Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. I think you had the most questions, so I'm going to start with you.
During the investigation, was she charged with anything?
So a juvenile referral has been submitted to the Bell County Juvenile Probation Office, and that individual is still in custody of the Bell County Juvenile Detention Center.
Where exactly did the stabbing happen inside that school?
So I'm not going to tell you exactly where, but I'm going to tell you it was a common area. It did not occur in a classroom, but it was a common area, and I'll leave it at that.
Was it during a class shift or was it during class time?
It was between passing period. It was during a passing period.
Do we have a particular time to when the actual event happened?
I'm going to give you approximately 11:25.
Okay. Same with the juvenile referral, so the suspect in the case would not be charged as an adult.
So that'll be determined by county prosecutors, whether there is a determination to certify that individual as an adult.
Since the students are both juveniles, will the suspect's parents be faced with legal action since she is underage?
It's hard to determine at this point, and there's a lot of things still being looked at in the course of this investigation. I can't give you a yes or no at this point.
Can you give me a walkthrough of what the police officers did on campus after the incident?
Yeah. So immediately after the incident, the on-campus officer radioed for assistance, notifying the Bell County Communications Center that there had been a stabbing at the campus and that he needed an emergency medical service response immediately. He also requested additional police units to respond. Then he began to assist with rendering aid to the victim. As other units arrived, I've already mentioned that one of the first responding officers to Smith Middle School located and detained the suspect. Follow-on officers to the campus assisted in directing EMS to the proper location on that campus where entry could be made nearest to the victim. They began locking down what would be the crime scene, that common area in the school, for preservation of evidence, location of additional suspects, if any. But at that time, we knew there had been one actor, and that individual was already in custody being detained by officers. Additional officers from both Killeen and KISD arrived to assist with perimeter control of that school. And a request was made to the Killeen Police Department CID to assist with the investigation due to the size and scope of the incident. Officers also helped secure the reunification site. There were some traffic issues, so officers attempted to ensure buses could get to the reunification site, kind of clearing up some of that traffic so we can get those kids to the reunification site. Officers helped direct traffic around the reunification site. As you all probably saw that day, there was a lot of cars. I just received that we're aware of one car being towed at the owner's request because the vehicle wouldn't start. So those operations continued throughout reunification. The crime scene investigation took place, and the rest of the investigation is still currently taking place.
can we confirm where the victim was stabbed that day on her body?
It was in the neck.
How many stab wounds, can you confirm the number of stab wounds that you received?
Cannot do that at this time.
I'm not sure which of you will be able to answer this question, but from going forward with safety measures, will there be new machines put in place to detect metal or objects that can relate to the one that was used in the incident?
I think we're looking at like layering a system. Because if you rely on one thing and that thing, device, object isn't detectable, there needs to be layers, right? And for us to come out and say, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, these kids are smart, right? They're going to figure out a way to circumvent the system, and we're going to look at every level that we have and try and shore those up to prevent this from ever happening again.
Last question.
During the incident with the people involved, did the officers see any altercation between the two, or however many there were?
So the campus officer on that campus was on a different level, but right above where the incident took place. The officer observed a disturbance, indicating that what he knew from working on that campus, that there was a fight somewhere in the building with kids rushing. So the officer immediately responded to the direction where he believed the incident to be taking place, and that's where he located the victim.
We're going to wrap up now. As you can imagine, Dr. Fey has a lot of other business to take care of today. Just want to say a quick thank you. It's been a very hard week for the community, for the KISD family, and there are a lot of people to thank, a lot of community partners and organizations, and we are KISD strong together, and we will talk with you soon. Thank you for coming today.
Well, we've been listening live now for about 30 minutes at the KISD Administration Building, where for the first time, Superintendent Dr. Ann Fey was able to listen and respond to questions from the news media and really directly from you all in the community, those questions that you've been sending to us that you want answers to. As many of you know, on Monday, a 14-year-old student at Roy J. Smith Middle School was stabbed to death. What we now know from the last 30 minutes is that the suspect had a 3 to 3.5 inch knife, described as a foldable knife. And what we also know is there was a gap in that layer of security at the middle school. They have a system called an Evolve weapon detector. And what we heard from the superintendent is on that day, the Evolve system was not working properly. She did ensure that all of the Evolve systems are now working properly at all of the campuses within KISD that are utilizing that system. It is not the same thing as a metal detector, though. And so it's very interesting. We heard a lot more information as well from the KISD Chief of Police. He also let us know that the victim was stabbed in her neck. There were quite a few details of that open criminal investigation that they just can't share at this time. I want to let you all know, though, an email did go out just within the last hour to parents at KISD that the district has launched a new website. It's KilleenISD.org/crisis response, because they want to be able to communicate directly about this incident, and they also want to prevent this from ever happening in their district again. We do have a news reporter that has been listening and asking questions for us throughout the afternoon. We will have her live in our 5 o'clock newscast. We hope to see you then, but for now, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming.